So if we don't look to justice on an individual basis or on a collective basis where we look to state, federal government, it's got to be something above humans or on an individual basis or even a state, because someone has to hold the state and the federal government accountable for their injustices. So I say whatever that is, it has to be transcendent. It has to be above man, because men are unjust, so therefore we can't be the ultimate deciding factor of what justice is. And so I say, if it's not determined individually or collectively, what about nature? Because that's what most people appeal to, is nature, and in a sense, they're naturalistic laws that we've got to obey. I give the example of gravity. We have to obey naturalistic laws. If I jump off a cliff, I can't expect to fly. If I walk through a burning building, I expect to get burned. But the only problem with that is it's not personal. Because nature doesn't care if I lie to you. Nature doesn't care if I steal from you, if I harm you. Nature is not going to hold me accountable. So whatever it is, it has to be personal. And then the thing that I love so much about justice, because if you want to appeal to nature, that's already flawed in the sense that it's not personal, it's not going to hold you accountable. But I say nature reveals a very dark truth, because nature isn't fair. Well, we got natural disasters. We got animals who just kill other animals in nature, and just the carnivorous nature of just carnage and all these things and illnesses. So if we're appealing to nature, it's like nature isn't very fair, And not only that, and this is something that I definitely want to get your thoughts on, because I say justice obliterates an evolutionary worldview. And that's kind of a bold statement, and I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that, and I can kind of clarify, but because that's a really bold statement, because there's so many people who look to evolution, and as one who doesn't hold to evolution, we hold to scripture. It's like, to say that justice obliterates an evolutionary worldview, I'm kind of curious to see what your thoughts on that was, and I'll kind of explain myself what I meant by that.
Yeah, so when I think about that statement, I just think about just the whole survival of the fittest, the reality that only the strongest are gonna survive, right? There was a movie that came out not too long ago. I'm not gonna name the name of the movie, but the concept was basically the world had gone to nothing, and they let, on this one particular day, people roam the streets, and they, take anybody out that they want to take out, right? And that's that concept of only the strongest will survive. So if we look at nature and we say that nature is the ultimate determination for a justice, and the evolution is just a natural thing that happens, then we'd have to also agree that it's absolutely okay for me, being stronger than the next man, to completely take advantage of and even take out the next man, because evolution says I'm stronger, I'm gonna survive and last longer than this particular person, and it may be that I just outlive him, but it also may be we get in an argument and I overpower him and I take his life. Evolution would say that that's natural. There's nothing wrong with that. We look at every animal species in the world that's carnivorous anyway. They eat what's weaker than them, and that's absolutely okay according to nature. But if we take the same concept and say, look, that can be the basis of justice, then we're back to a world where if you're stronger, more powerful, have more money, have more resources, then you're free to do whatever you want to do, because you've earned that right by becoming and existing as the strongest. And I don't think anybody would, in their heart of hearts, agree with that's absolutely okay.
And that's a good aspect to address, because essentially what you're saying is those who determine evolution or determine justice from an evolutionary perspective are saying evil is intrinsic to man, that it's just intrinsic to us, and so there's no real objectivity on what's wrong and what's right, because like you said, if I'm stronger than you and I just take you out, it's like that becomes the basis of what's right, and it's like, is that really how we want to go down this path? I don't come from that perspective, even though I think that's a great point to address. I come from more of the perspective of humans are literally the only ones that deal in matters of innocence and guilt. I gave the example just a bit earlier. It's like, when the lion devours the gazelle, is it put on trial for murder? But if I do that to another person, that it's only a characteristic of humanity where we deal in matters of innocence and guilt. And so, as you were speaking on evolution, just the survival of the fittest, another aspect of evolution is that we are just simply evolved from an ape-like creature. Mm-hmm. So it's like all of history accounts of humans exclusively dealing in judicial matters, but we never see this in the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. It just seems like justice is intrinsic to humanity. So it's like, how does an evolutionist explain that when we're nothing more than a highly evolved animal? Because like you said, if it's just survival of the fittest, we see that how it works out in nature where, you know, clearly the lion is going to overpower the gazelle. It's stronger, it's faster, whatever the case is, where he's at the top of the food chain. Mm-hmm. But how humans can't deal that way? Yeah. You know, because what? We have inherent dignity, we have inherent worth, and we deal in matters of what? Innocence and guilt. Mm-hmm. And so I say this, because from an evolutionary perspective, you would have to say justice is something that changes. Mm-hmm. You know, that murder in one sense wasn't just or was wrong now it's good. Mm-hmm. And so it would be something, but justice must be what? Immutable. Mm-hmm. So I say these are the three characteristics that I give of justice. I say it must be what? Transcendent. Mm-hmm. It must be personal, and it must be immutable. And these are all characteristics of God.